Sports tonight on the local CW at 10:30. So, good news for Washington. I didn't realize that I thought they had other options, but Will Rogers withdrawing from the transfer portal and returning to Washington, former Mississippi State quarterback, re-entered the portal. Number 2 all-time in SEC history with 12,315 career passing yards.
Yeah, it appeared this was going to go this way a couple of weeks ago when, even though he had or when the announcement came down about Kalen DeBoer leaving, he had, put his name in the portal, but then he didn't really go anywhere and classes had started. And, you start looking around in the game of quarterback musical chairs, like there weren't a lot of places for him. Like, it's not like he could have followed Kalen DeBoer.
Mm-mm.
They're of all the things that Kalen DeBoer does not have to worry about, at least right now, it's quarterback. Like everything else, he's has to juggle and make things work. But quarterback was set for him with Jalen Milroe staying in the fold. The quarterbacks they already had in house. Plus, he brought in Austin Mack, who was his recruit last year. Jedd Fischer brought Williams, his quarterback, with him from Arizona that was a signee this year. So he's up there, but they needed a veteran for this year. So, yeah, this was probably the best option for Will Rogers, and it's great for Washington that he gets to stay and he's there and they don't have to worry about filling that role for this year, provided he is healthy again and back to full strength with that shoulder that he dealt with last year.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be weird. He was there for the playoff run, got to be in the jersey and be on the sidelines, and I think we saw shots of him during the national title game throwing the football around and, was expected to be the heir apparent to Michael Penix, and then college football changes as it does unexpectedly at times. And so, yeah, suddenly he's out kind of on an island of options, and the options weren't very good. I think outside of just sticking with where he had already chosen to go originally, as Paul mentioned, there's a lot of spots that had already locked up their quarterbacks. And when you look at the best available quarterbacks, I mean, it's not the list that it was a few weeks ago by any stretch. It is slim pickings, and the schools that have openings or wants, same thing, So, yeah, a lot of the quarterback decisions have already been made, including his, part of that chain reaction. And so to sit there and try to reset now at this point, I think you're putting yourself way behind the 8 ball, and the odds of landing at a school better than where you are pretty much slim to none. So, or a better situation at a better school. It's just, where would that even be, where you're nearly guaranteed to be the starter and you're at a Big Ten school that just was playing in the national championship game. So, yeah, I mean, this isn't a total shocker because of the way the dominoes fell with DeBoer's move and subsequently what's happened in Tuscaloosa. So, yeah, good for Washington. I mean, that's a win. It's not a massive, like, he chose them over so-and-so and so-and-so like he did originally, but to have him continue to be in the fold and have that centerpiece to start building around for Jedd Fischer, who had a very good year with Arizona last year in his quarterback play, particularly once the young man there, Noah Fafita, took over. That's got to be exciting for Will Rogers to have seen as well, and a little bit alluring. So, yeah, not surprised, and good for the Huskies.
You think that Fafita was probably why Will Rogers entered the portal in the first place? Because obviously he's staying at Arizona, and Rogers saw the writing on the wall with Fish and then realized, okay, maybe it's not as bad as I thought?
Yeah, I think he transferred, just assuming if Fafita was going to come with him, and then when Fafita didn't, then
yeah. Okay, now I see what you're saying.
I think that's certainly a thing. By the way, Garrett,
because
go
that
back
would
to
absolutely make sense. Yeah.
Does it look like I'm wearing a Will Rogers hat here, the way I'm sitting?
No, you look like you're playing the role of his crotch today, is what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the way it lines. I mean, look at the way it lines up with his color shirt.
Move that way.
Yeah.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah, that's what I have to do, because if I go back this way.
Stop.
Yeah. No. But anyway, the one school I was surprised, and I continue to be surprised to hear them mentioned with no quarterbacks, and I thought maybe Will Rogers going back to the SEC would be Auburn. But again, Hugh Freeze, I guess he's got a plan he's comfortable with there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the best available player still in the quarterback ranks is Jordan McLeod, and he's got like a 100% projection for Auburn. So maybe that's what they're banking on there. But yeah, to your point, I think everybody expected Auburn would have made a bigger move by now, and they haven't. And that would have been potentially an option, but obviously that door closed pretty quick, or they didn't even try to turn the knob on that door. I don't really know. But yeah, that's one that's a little bit more puzzling. But I did think of Auburn, and they are projected to get get Jordan McLeod. So we'll see how that works. He'd be coming over from James Madison, where they had a very good year, obviously. And, we'll see there. But Will Rogers is set to have a nice new venture. And what that looks like, I think, all remains to be seen. But I think Jedd Fischer is a heck of a coach, and he did a really good job in a short amount of time at Arizona and put up big numbers on offense. And Washington was doing that regardless. So I think he's actually kind of fortunate that he didn't end up where Washington hired like a defensive coach or something, and then you're kind of stuck. Instead, they brought in a guy who is going to keep the pace hot and keep the points flowing. So I think that's good news, and probably was part of the swaying decision and just, hey, I'm going to stick where I am.
Dwayne